How many of you know in your mind as we were waiting? What were you thinking? Where did you, what?
Logistics.
Logistics. Where is your father? Is he here or is he gone?
He is. He's gone for Prasada.
How did the program go this morning?
Went well.
And he was happy? 1,000 full moons. Is that a local custom?
Yes, a family tradition. They call it as Shatabhishekam, 80 years completion.
What are you thinking right now? What are you thinking right now? What are you thinking about my class? What are you thinking about my class? I hope it is short. Just imagine if you had a loudspeaker attached to your mind or an amplification system. Just imagine if everything that you were thinking was being broadcast and everyone could hear it. You're laughing now. If that was true, you wouldn't have one friend in the world. I mean, I don't mean you, but you also. In the past, I wonder if that door could be closed, because I find it distracting when you see what's going on. If someone could, probably, maybe you could just make sure that after the devotees come in, if they're coming in, you could make sure the door is closed again. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sahitam Dina Vitale, Sayam Bhagavananda, Sarahaya, Munchikova, Krishna, Sindhurika, Titanam Bhavadita, For the last 2 days in Whitefield, we've been discussing the first and second verses of shikshashtakam, which was the only composition, the only thing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually wrote, even though he was such a powerful, great scholar, incomparable scholar. He only wrote these verses, 8 verses. And his followers wrote so many hundreds of books, powerful books, very deep books, that basically expand on the meaning of these 8 verses. But before we read this one, let's see if I can, yes, I've made it disappear. Let's see if I can. This is this. Yeah.
Cetadattanamarjanam
When what will we do with that?
This is TV volume.
Is the volume? Okay. When the movement first began, I mean, many of you cannot even imagine this, but there were no mobile phones. So long ago, can you imagine how people existed without mobile phones? Stop it. Stop it. But then you can start, for the moment. There were no mobile phones. And listen to this, there were no MP3 players. Now, some of you can't even remember what an MP3 player was. And there were no CDs and CD players. But there were tape recorders. But there were no small tape recorders. Can you imagine that? Such a primitive time. But there were big reel-to-reel tape recorders. And I'm speaking about 1968. How many of you were alive in 1968? Raise your hand.
Somewhere.
Yeah, you got my joke. Yeah. I think we were probably an old Buddhist sage in the Himalayas, living in a cave. And Prabhupada was in this world, and he made this recording. And we would play this recording again and again and again on our reel-to-reel tape recorders. And this was our food, practically speaking, our nourishment. Please listen to it very carefully.
Bhavamahadavagninidvapanam.
Listen to Prabhupada's voice, the depth of how he's singing this prayer. It is not just coming from his mouth. Where is the speaker? Here it is. Is that it? That's the speaker.
Speakers are there.
Yeah, it sort of seems to be a bit too loud, at least towards my ear. Is it possible to point it?
No, it's pointed elsewhere.
Okay, good, okay. So just listen to listen to the bhakti, the devotion in Prabhupada's voice. How do you start this again? Yes. Okay.
Cetadattanamarjanam. Bhavamahadavagninidvapanam. Sriyasdaiva chandrika vitaranam. Vidyavadhujivanam. Anandamudivadhanam. Pratipadam purnamitasadanam. Param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Nama Nama Kari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti Taprapita Smarane Namalam Itadrisi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Sam Sarorapi Sahishnanam Sarorapi Sahishnanam Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Jajanana Sundarim Kavitanamajabadi Satamani Mama Janamani Janmani Sare Bhavatad Bhakti Rahulati Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed his disciples to write books on the science of Krishna consciousness, a task which those who follow him have continued to carry out down to the present day. The elaborations and exposition on the philosophy taught by Lord Chaitanya are in fact the most voluminous, exacting and consistent due to the unbreakable system of disciplic succession of any religious culture in the world. Yet, Lord Chaitanya in his youth, widely renowned as a scholar, himself left us only 8 verses called shikshashtakam. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years together. Thus the fire of conditioned life, of repeated birth and death is extinguished. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of benediction more. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it helps to have a taste of the full nectar for which we are always anxious. Second verse. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction upon the living beings, and therefore you have hundreds and millions of names, like Krishna, Govinda, etc. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies, and there is no hard and fast rule for chanting these holy names. O my Lord, we have so kindly made approach to you easy by your holy names, but unfortunate as I have no attraction for them. 3. One can chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord
constantly. Now, how should we bring it to the and get it to this third verse? Yeah. What are you thinking? Let me. Sorry, scroll through this. Start saying it. Notice how the screen will attract our attention. Screens do attract our attention. So what do you remember from what Prabhupada said or sang? What did you notice? Raise your hands, please. Did anything really strike you about Prabhupada singing and and his words? Please raise your hand. Yes, thank you. But loudly.
Yeah, the one thing that
You have a
strikes me,
good, strong voice. You should preach. I like it.
so one thing that strikes me is that he has got many names, but all the variations of all the names, one can get by chanting this one name. That's what.
Yes, sort of. Yes. That you can get all benedictions, all benedictions that anyone ultimately desires. One can get that just by chanting Krishna's name. So that struck you, yes? And what is your good name?
Hitesh,
Nitesh. Nice to meet you. Nitesh.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else remember something or have it, something really struck you out of all those things? You raised your hand, yes.
I'm so unfortunate that I'm not able to enjoy this means.
Attracted to it,
There is
yeah,
no
yeah.
attraction.
The Krishna is saying, and we spoke about this yesterday in Whitefield, we went over the second verse. That Krishna is saying, this all attractive, all powerful, all beautiful, all knowing, supreme personality of Godhead. Can you just think of what unlimited beauty means? Unlimited strength. When we look up at the sky at night, of course, in this city, you can't see anything but smog and clouds perhaps, but some places in the world, you can look up and you see hundreds and hundreds, countless stars. And one can't help but thinking, where does all this come from? How much power the person or the creator of all those unlimited planets, how powerful he must be. But that is nothing, practically speaking, compared to unlimited power. That's nothing compared to unlimited power, to create a universe. Because in the 13th chapter of the 10th canto, please turn off your mobile phones, please, by the way. And please make sure this gentleman gets a seat, a nice comfortable seat to sit in.
It's my father.
Hmm?
My father.
Yes. In the 13th chapter of the 10th canto, does anyone know what that chapter is entitled? Or the contents? It's about Lord Brahma and how he steals the calves and the boys from Krishna. Please turn off your mobile phone, please. And he does that. Hare Krishna, sir. Congratulations. Very happy to see you. 1,000 full moons passed. In previous times when someone was elderly, he would be respected because of his wisdom. And this was the method of passing down the culture. And that grandmothers would read the Mahabharata and Ramayana to the children, and they would grow up with this impression coming from the elders, from the grandparents, and they would learn how to keep life in perspective, because we have to go through so many things in life. So the wisdom of the culture will be passed down from generation to generation in this way. But now we tend not to observe this type of cultural, very significant cultural thing. And when people know about the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, they saw the videos on television or something like that, or their mobile phone. But the wisdom of the culture is lost, and the respect is gone. And rather than respecting the elders, according to the theory of evolution, who is more advanced, the elders or the children? Well, you don't have to raise your hand to answer that. We almost don't want to say it. That the children are more advanced, the elders, they're more evolved. They even know how to use Twitter and what to speak of Twitch and what other ones are there? No one knows. You know? No? All the social media platforms, etc. Oh, everyone knows that. So rather than advancement, Kali Yuga really pushes back advancement. Instead of evolution really improving, people are devolving really to animals, as Prabhupada would say sometimes. So in any case, um, the second verse spoke about how Krishna's holy names were there. And he's saying the unlimited Lord. I guess we were talking about the 13th chapter of Lord Brahma, and how Lord Brahma had stolen away the calves and the boys, and then he hid them in a cave, and then he came back in a moment, which was a year of earth time, and he saw that the boys and calves were there, and he thought, well, maybe Krishna had moved them to here from the cave. So he went back to the cave, and they were still in the cave, and he quickly went back, and they were with Krishna. And he was bewildered. How could the same thing be in two places at the same time? He didn't know about quantum mechanics, perhaps, but and then he looked at Krishna, who was standing there, who was perhaps 4 years old. Is anyone here 4 years old? Any 4-year-olds? How old is this one over here? How old? How old are you? Okay, 8, so maybe half that size. 4-year-olds, how tall are 4-year-olds? No one will admit to being 4 here, okay. Do we have any 4-year-olds? Like this size, raise your hand. 4-year-old, raise your hand. 2 hands. Say hello. So that size, Lord Brahma is looking at this boy, beautiful, with a turban upon his head, and his flute and his stick Vetra tucked in his sash, his waist belt, which was so beautiful, and a peacock feather, a heart peacock, and a garland, and maybe a yellow flower by his ear, and looking so beautiful. And he's holding at this time some Kerala, which means rice and yogurt, in his left hand, his food, he's holding in his left hand. He's such an uncultured village boy. No shoes. And Krishna's just looking at him. And then the cows and the boys turn into 4-armed Vishnu forms before the eyes of Brahma. And these Vishnu forms enter into Krishna, come out of Krishna. And how many of them are there? There's unlimited Vishnu forms coming from this little boy who's unlimitedly beautiful and unlimitedly powerful. And these unlimited Vishnu forms, each one of them, now conceive of this, which you're not able to do, that unlimited power, each of these unlimited Vishnu forms have unlimited power. There's unlimited Vishnu forms, and each of the unlimited Vishnu forms have unlimited power, and they're all coming in and out of Krishna. And the universes are worshiping each of those Vishnu forms. Unlimitedly powerful forms are emanating from Krishna, and each one of those unlimited forms have unlimited power, unlimited. This is inconceivable, in fact. And Lord Brahma, seeing this, he practically fainted. He conceived, his intelligence tried to contain infinity, unlimitedness in his intelligence, and it exploded his consciousness and just fainted, practically speaking. And this unlimitedly powerful, unlimitedly beautiful person was standing there before him, a little boy. And that Krishna has placed all his potencies, all Sarva Shakti, all of his potencies, all of them in his name. And he's saying that at any time, at any place, you want to be with me, just chant my name with great devotion, and I will be there. He's saying you can be with me at any time, any place, no consideration, no consideration whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood, Suki Duki Bolo Lako, Badane, Harinam Kodore. No consideration whether you're clean or unclean, what time of the day or night it is, whether you're eating or sleeping or lying down or standing up. You can be with me anytime. And then Mahaprabhu says, it's like Krishna is saying, you can be with me at any time. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, I'm busy right now. I have something very important to do. And what is the important thing that I have to do? Anything other than being with Krishna. That's the distraction that Kali Yuga provides continuously. Durdavam Indri Samihana Janura, my Lord, I don't have attachment, even though you're saying, please be with me. I'm saying, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. So the next verse, the third verse, we can see Trinadavi, if you read the Bangla. It's different from the other verses. So we've gone over the other verses in quite detail, the first two verses in the previous classes. But the first one was very long, but one word was so long. And here, it's such a short verse. Even without knowing the Bengali, you can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, only nine words in this. And here are those words. Please read this all together. So we heard Prabhupada singing this, and this is what in the early days we heard, although none of us, there were all just foreigners, Americans, we didn't know what anything meant. But Prabhupada was saying this with such devotion, pointing us towards these instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And very, very strong in this poetry, very different from the first two verses, which were also strong, but quite different. So, Trinadapi, oops, Trinadapi, yes, Sinichena, Trodinga, Sinisana, Amanina Manadena Kirtania Sadahari. So, Trinadapi, Trina is grass, Api means like grass. Sunichena, Nich means low, as you all know, but Su is very, very low. So very low. So it's so strong, and it's like a sutra with so much meaning in it, but it's very, very short. And to the point, it sort of hits you like a hammer. Trinada peace in each other. If you want to, he's going to say this last, if you want to chant Krishna's name, you have to be grass-like. What is the meaning of this? Grass-like in one's self-estimation. Low, like grass. No one even thinks about grass practically when one walks somewhere, like a piece of straw. Worth nothing, practically speaking. So, one is going to have some qualities to be able to chant properly. And here's the first Sunichena, feeling oneself low, like grass. Now, there's so many questions that will come up when we hear this verse. And here's the second quality. So it was Trinadapi, grass like in Trodiva, tree-like. In what? Sahisnuna, in tolerance and patience. Immediately I start thinking, I have to be patient. If I'm in Bombay, I'll never be able to even cross the street if I'm patient. Also in Bangalore. Grass-like, have to be humble. There's one devotee who's I can't remember what his, but he's Bengali. And when I have some questions about the structure of some Chaitanya Charitamrita verses, I call him up. He's quite scholarly, and he said that there is a Bengali verse, and he showed it to me, that says that I wanted to become a Gaudiya Vaishnava until I read this verse. I have to become a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What does this mean? I have to become like grass? Everyone just steps on you. Can you imagine trying to apply this verse literally in the corporate world? Like a tree, just tolerant, and when we hear the tree-like qualities that Krishnadas Kaviraj says, that things happen to you no matter what it is, you don't complain. But patience and tolerance, like a tree. I remember once I was in Krishna Balaram Mandir, and it was very crowded. And sometimes the young, enthusiastic brahmacharis or those who just joined, I don't know if the habit is here in this wonderful city of Bangalore, but sometimes the brahmacharis in a kirtan, there's a big group and they go like this, there's two devotees in the center and they put their hands like this, and what do they do next? They spin and spin and spin and spin and spin. And they're surrounded by, people do this here, devotees do this here. And they're surrounded by other people. You can be in front of the deities and chanting, and no one pays any attention to the deities or the holy names. They just enjoy this, and they have this wild look on their faces while they're doing this too. They're spinning around until one lets go and it crashes through. And me being somewhat elderly at this point in my life, or in general being a little old-fashioned and conservative about certain things. I think this is crazy. That's what I think. What does this have to do with Krishna consciousness? But then one time in Krishna Balaram, this was happening right in front of Krishna Balaram, and when the devotee, they let go and he went smashing into this elderly village lady, and she fell down, and I got so angry. That's the topic. No, I became so angry, I was ready to just walk over and I don't know what I would do, but nothing, of course. But, but I was so upset. But then I looked at this village lady, and she just sort of stood up and just kept looking at the deities. She was completely unaffected. What I noticed was that I became so upset because if that happened to me, I would be so angry, or what to speak if it happened to my parents or something like that, or anyone practically speaking. But if it happened to me, because my false ego was maybe bigger, how dare you do this to me? Do you know who I am? I don't even know who I am. That's what false ego does. Something happens, someone bangs into you. Do you know who I am? Even if you're in a car, you're in your car, your fancy new car. I've never seen a fancy new car in India that didn't have scratches and bumps in it. Even 15 minutes after leaving the showroom, automatically Krishna sent someone to. And what do you say when your car gets hit? What's the first? You hit me! That's called the hung car.
Car.
I own my car. But I'm not. False ego. Misidentification with who I am. Trinada B. Sudicena. Means that grass at least has a false ego. This is the comment of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur on shikshashtakam of Mahaprabhu, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur both comment on this. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I believe, said that grass has a false ego that is somewhat comparatively like its actual position, because philosophically and according to Shastra, how big am I? What's the verse? How big am I as a soul? 1/10,000. Yes. Of 1/10,000. Whoops, I have to use a different example. I can't use you. Yes, if I took out one of those hairs, you wouldn't miss it at all. You have enough, don't worry. But if I took out one, and there was the tip, and I cut that into how many? 10,000. 100. Is it? No.
10,000.
And then I cut one of those pieces into 10,000 again. And the spirit soul is considered that size. So inconceivably tiny, yet powerful, but inconceivably tiny. And yet I'm thinking I'm so big and so important. So the grass, I would try to say, at least it's so small, but it has its false ego is comparative to some degree to its size. But me, I'm so small, 1/10,000th the tip of a head of a hair in size, but I'm thinking I'm the most important person in the universe. That is the gift of Maya, that illusion, that the mind. This is the gift of Maya, illusion, the illusory energy. So you want to turn your back on Krishna, who they say, you want to be the center of existence. You don't want Krishna to be the center of existence. I want to be the center of existence. So I will give you a material mind, which includes false ego, buddhi, intelligence, a material mind. And in that mind, you can imagine yourself the center of existence. That's what it means to have a material mind. That's what it means to be an illusion. And everyone else, including our dearest family members, their existence is to support the main actor, the main star of the whole drama of existence, me. And to prove that it's illusion, to prove that it's not reality, that I'm not the center of existence, is that I can't convince anyone else, not even one person, that I'm the center of existence. That's Maya's gift, this false ego, when we imagine that. So I have an amazingly huge conception of myself, although I myself am amazingly small and insignificant. The example I can't help but using every time I speak about the insignificance. Here I am. We're striving and working so hard to achieve something in this world, to rise up in the corporate ladder, or to become this and become that of significance. But practically speaking, in 100 years from now, probably not even one person will ever remember that we even existed. Years from now, maybe some of you will cry or when we were with our grandfathers, and no one even know that I existed. And here I am, thinking myself so important in the center of existence. This is called Maya, or illusion. And to chant Krishna's names, one has to rid oneself of that false perception of time, whether we're in a spiritual movement or we're striving in the corporate world. We can't have that conception with us ourselves. It's called ahankara, or we translate that into English as false ego. But ego, a sense of self, and be situated in the real sense of myself. And that is Krishna, the actual form of the jiva, is Krishna's servant. This is who I am unavoidably. One of the first questions I asked Prabhupada was, if we can't avoid serving Krishna, he was speaking about that we're Krishna's servant, we can't avoid serving Krishna. We either do it consciously or unconsciously. We do it like a prisoner in the prison house serves the government unwillingly. He's serving the government anyway, doing what the government says, and the free person is serving willingly the government, following the laws. So either we serve willingly or unwillingly. We have to serve. We have to always serve yourself and serve him unwillingly. Pretty intelligent death tried to avoid the inevitable, and Prabhupada answered in such a simple way. He said, yes, but if you serve him unwillingly, you won't be happy. And if you serve him willingly, you will be happy. If you serve him with love and devotion, the insignificant, please turn more. Or we have an alternative, and that is you can put it on cow ringtone.
They can donate for temple.
Huh?
They can give it for temple construction. Confiscate.
Now you have to tell me what I was talking about. It's false ego.
So, I mean,
willingly. The insignificant, which we ultimately are, 1/10,000th the tip of a hair inside. How many devotees are in this room at this moment? 200, 250, 100, I don't know. How many approximately?
Approximately 200.
200, okay. So if you had 10,000 instead of 200 in this room, the souls could fit on the tip of a hair. Oops. So insignificant can become so significant and do things that are so significant, have real value, eternal. But without that, we're just gathering zeros, zeros, zeros. And no matter how many zeros one has, it just adds up to zero. In the looked at time of the world and an ordinary person, Krishna, the sadhu instructs in such a way that he's seeing what's going on and advising from the point of view of eternity. And what sees point of view is completely different from what seems significant from the point of view of an ordinary person or an ant or a fly. So therefore, Trinada peace and mutual love. But if one really wants to take shelter of Krishna and chant Krishna's names properly and constantly, one has to rid oneself of false ego. That doesn't mean a false sense of importance and an accurate sense of who I am in my actual status, which is insignificant. Not only are we servants of Krishna, we're insignificant servants of Krishna, and that Krishna has unlimited servants. And we could only become one of them. And not only could we become one of them, only that all the CEO's positions are already taken by the Nitya Siddhas. We can only become servants of the 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 servants of those who are so dear to Krishna that they're intimately connected with them. But the miracle, as Prabhupada once said, the miracle of the Guru Parampara, the disciplic succession, is that by serving him this way, one directly experiences Krishna. It's not only like this and like this and like this and like this, but it's direct with Krishna, because Krishna has that potency. And he's the only one who can interact with each and every one of us, personally, individually, at the same time. We want to be the central person, but how many people can we talk to, have a personal relationship with at the same time? Krishna can do that with every single soul, unlimitedly potent. Unlimitedly potent. So Trinada Visnicena, Karorapi, Ivasihishmana. And then that's not all. These are two of the qualities. And then the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments, this is how to become steady. Nishta. One has to become humble and tolerant like this. And this is the effect, he says, of offenseless chanting. And it is also the cause of offenseless chanting. Because I think, at least I've noticed it, that when I'm chanting, there are unlimited things that come to my mind that seem so important that I have to stop thinking about Krishna and stop chanting properly. My mind gets distracted. But if I'm humble, I think the only thing that is really important right now is to be with Krishna in the form of his Lord. So that type of a mood is fixedness in devotional service. That type of a mood causes offenselessness in chanting. And it also is only possible if one is offenseless in chanting. So offenses in chanting is on top of what we won't speak about now. But this isn't all, these two qualities, tree-like and grass-like. It's not all. That's my phone. Wait a second. Turn it off. Last time it was President Trump calling. And I had to tell him that I was busy right now. Can you do it? Amanina, manadena, Krishna manina. Without feeling I don't need anyone to respect or honor me. And this is something that sounds so simple, but it is so difficult. Because, say in the corporate world, you work because you have to work. But as soon as they stop paying you, you stop working. We don't do things unless we get something for what we're doing. So when we're practicing devotional service, on the material level, we're not supposed to get anything. It's savor. It's not work. It's savor. It's an offering. My Lord, I'm doing this to please you. This is my offering to you. So we don't get anything on the gross level, but yet there's a subtle level where we may want to get something. Respect. Oh, he's an older devotee. He started chanting for so long ago. So everyone should know that I'm an old devotee, disciple of Prabhupada, and I should give that respect. Something more subtle than something gross. Lava puja pratishtati jata. That if we want to be worshipped, if we want the fame, to want to be known, oh, he gives such nice classes. At least I'm getting something out of this. No. That's false ego wanting some nourishment. And if the weeds, the upasakagan means weeds, if the weeds take the water of hearing and chanting, shravanati jal, then the actual plant of our devotion won't grow, so we have to make choices. What do I want? What do I really want? Do I want to be known? Do I want to be worshipped? Do I want respect? Do I want to be in charge? Or do I want love for Krishna, which is the result of chanting? So these weeds, upasakagan, will tend to grow if we're not very careful. So here's one of them. Become humble and tolerant. And this third one, not even requesting, I can't even get some honor. Well, of course I can. And Krishna will give me what I want. He'll give me what I want. And this is the thing that about Krishna. You want to be honored, he'll give you honor. You want to be known for having built a wonderful temple, he'll give you that kind of respect and fame. But he'll hold back that which is really of value, the only thing of value, and that's Krishna prema, love. He won't give himself. And on the side of that, he will give himself to those serving with purity. Therefore, bhakti on the level of Bhava Bhakti is Sudolava. What does Sudolava mean? You have to raise your hand. Oh, I don't hear it. Yes, but raise your hand so enthusiastically. What does Sudolava mean? Yeah, very, very rare, the rarest of rare. But it's so simple in one sense, and Srila Jiva Goswami comments on that, that it's not so rare that you can't have it. You just have to have the qualification that attracts Krishna, Krishna Karshani. So that's the question I ask the devotees and also myself is, you're practicing devotional service, what do you want? And then we all, 1, 2, 3, Krishna Prem, Haribol! And then, but then there's a follow-up question, what do you really want? And then no Haribol, no Jar, because that's the result. When one tries to be completely sincere and understand from Shastra what sincerity really means, then it causes great, first, humiliation. If one is very earnest, and then through humiliation one can achieve humility. So without even getting honor and respect, and this in the temples nowadays, here, do they announce the scores and things like that for collections and books distributed?
Distribution.
No one would ever do that before, or announce who's the donor at the feast or something like that. Yeah. Sorry, thank you for feeding me. So then maybe that's what the person wanted, some respect, but in the early days, no one would ever do that. Because this is my offering to you, Krishna, to you, Prabhupada. And all I want from it is for you to be satisfied and pleased. That's what I want. Is that what I really want? That's a question that we should ask ourselves and see what we do really want. It's such a heavy class, isn't it? It's also very hard to give this kind of class because you think I'm talking about you, but I'm also the one listening to it. I can't let my mind wander too much and I can't fall asleep. You can all make believe you're listening. That's the difference between children and adults. One of the differences is that the children, when their mind wanders, you can see in their body, in their eyes, they start going like this and like this. Because they're living in their own world. Right? Little ones back there. They're living in their own little world. But the adults learn how to make believe they're there. But they're not there at all. We learn how to be hypocrites. So we can all laugh about it. Just imagine how hard it is to give this kind of a class because I have to pay attention to what I'm saying. And people will think, oh, he's so humble, he's this and that. But I know what it's like inside. So without wanting any honor, serving just for the pleasure of Krishna, Ya Vilasita Sunyam, Gyana Kamara Navrita, Anakulena Krishna Nashim. This is what bhakti is. This is the qualification for practicing bhakti that will give you bhava bhakti, the highest stage. And then the next one, giving honor, manadena. So not only not expecting respect in worship, but giving it to others. Because seeing others looking, I know what I'm like inside, and look at these people, they're so sincerely, the souls First of all, Krishna's in his heart. So I respect him for that, from that point of view. Namaste, namaskar. And also, he's part and parcel of Krishna. He's one of Krishna's energies. And I respect him from that point of view. And there, out of the thousands and millions, how many people live in this wonderful city at this point? How many millions of people?
1.5 million. Huh? 1.5 crores.
So how many is that in millions?
And there is 15 million.
15 million people. So we think it's, just imagine if we had to build a temple that was suitable for 15 million people. But we don't have to worry about that because there's not that many that are interested in finding out what the purpose of life is and what to speak of living like that, or even taking first steps on that path. But still respecting everyone because of their being part and parcel of Krishna. What to speak of devotees, or even aspiring devotees who have taken a step on the path, or even have expressed their desire on that path to be on the path. How rare that kind of a soul is, and therefore respected for that reason, and treated with such care for that reason, and that reason alone. They're part of Krishna, Krishna is with them, and they're making an attempt in devotional service. So we give honor to them, but they don't. Amanina. Mana means the honor, they're giving, but amanina, not wanting for oneself. And in such a state of mind, one could chant Sada, always, Hari, Kirtaniya Sada Hari, always chant Krishna's names. Because one is recognizing oneself as, who am I? I'm Krishna's servant. This is what I do. I serve Krishna. And that connection with who I am through Krishna's internal energy, through Ladini Samvit Shakti, brings to that insignificant soul the highest ecstasy. That connection to Krishna through devotion brings that soul to the level of enjoying more than Krishna, one can even say. That's Krishna's grace. And this comes by chanting the Holy Ghost, by chanting in this mood, which is a very exalted state of mind, in fact. So another question comes up that we look at Prabhupada. I'll tell you a little bit I witnessed in Melbourne. So Prabhupada was sitting on the Vyasasana in the temple, the Melbourne temple on Dake Street, which is currently the main central temple in Melbourne. He was sitting on the Vyasasana, big Vyasasana seat. Now, first of all, not wanting honor and sitting on this big seat. And he's giving class and everyone's listening, mostly devotees, but also guests. And in the class, he's speaking in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, and he speaks about something that is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, that there are giant eagles that fly from planet to planet. Now, most of you are connected to software and programming, etc., which requires a very logical, analytical mind, because the program won't work if the logic of the language isn't followed. So put that into your programming analytical mind. There are giant eagles, the Bhagavatam says, that fly from planet to planet, and they hatch their eggs. The eagles have eggs through the heat of the friction of the atmosphere. And Prabhupada, this wasn't the topic of his talk, but he mentioned it in the talk. It was the evening class. And at the end of the class, Prabhupada is sitting on the Vyasasana, and he said, any questions? He always asked for questions at the end of class. So one of his disciples, relatively new disciple, and after he asked that, after speaking like that, and then about the giant eagles, he asked, are there any questions? And the room was very, very quiet after that. But one devotee, he slowly raised his hand. Prabhupada said, yes. And he said, in your class, you mentioned that there were giant eagles that fly from planet to planet and hatch their eggs in the friction of the atmosphere. Prabhupada, yes. And he said, that is a little hard to believe. And Prabhupada, sitting on the Vyasasana, to my eyes, sit up even a little straighter and say, what do you know? You are still in the womb of your mother. And you're all laughing. But I didn't laugh when he said that. And no one else laughed either. And that devotee never recovered, in fact, in this life. Is that humility that Prabhupada was exhibiting? When Arjuna was told to fight on the battle of Kurukshetra, and he had to kill his relatives, shoot arrows at Bhishma, is that being tolerant as a tree and feeling oneself lower than a blade of grass? Is that the meaning of this verse? Not thinking badly of oneself and having low self-esteem. Rather, it's acknowledging that I'm tiny and insignificant, and I'm the servant of Krishna, and I'm surrendering to Krishna. I'm yours, Krishna. How should I act? That is humility. Regardless of what the externals are, that is humility. So Prabhupada was so bold, but so sweet in his boldness too. He went alone at the age of basically 70 to the United States. We all know the amazing story of Prabhupada's success. One time he was walking in Calcutta, the Victoria Memorial, which was built during Prabhupada's youth. It took 20 years to build this huge, huge monument to Queen Victoria, who no one now probably even remembers. And there was scaffolding as they were building. Because you have scaffolding, you have to use scaffolding to build a building. So there was scaffolding, and Prabhupada said when he was a boy, he climbed to the top of this scaffolding. As boys tend to do things like that, and their mothers are in complete anxiety. But that's what boys do. They do brave things like that. So when Prabhupada said that he climbed to the top of the building, the Victoria, how many of you have seen the Victoria Memorial in Calcutta? It's quite large, isn't it? So one of the devotees, I think it was Brahmananda, who said, Prabhupada, you were so brave. And Prabhupada replied, I still am brave. Otherwise I couldn't have come to your country alone. Can you imagine at 70 years old with not knowing one person, just arriving? He got off by boat having 2 heart attacks. Is he carrying Bhagavatam? so brave, so bold. So don't be afraid that the Trinadapi verse is going to make you trampled on as you drive and trampled on in life. But it's very much an internal mood that's manifested at the right time. Practical. Krishna consciousness is always practical. I remember the first time one of the first times I saw Prabhupada in 1968 at 26 Second Avenue. And because I was a new devotee, they let me go on a morning walk with Prabhupada. And he walked to Tompkins Square Park. Have any of you been to Tompkins Square Park in New York? Yes. And there was a tree there, so we walked down the street. And I always had a question in my mind. I had many questions, but how practical is Krishna consciousness? So I was thinking that when we were walking to Tompkins Square Park, and there was a red light, and you weren't supposed to cross the street. This was early on the morning. So I was wondering, there was no traffic, but there was a red light. Would Prabhupada obey the and I saw the red light, and there was no traffic? And what Prabhupada do? So I saw being from Calcutta. He looked to the left, he looked to the right, he just kept on walking. He wanted to get his service done. So he can act bold, he can shoot arrows like Arjuna did if required. Another little story that shows Prabhupada's practical boldness. This was in the Philippines, because I had the fortune, because I was in the Far East in the very early days. So Prabhupada was coming to the Philippines, and myself and Lakshmi Mataji were preaching in Hong Kong. So Prabhupada said, you should come and come and see me. So we were there, and there was this big hall, and it was during martial law, and you weren't allowed to have programs during martial law. But there was a program in the Manila Intercontinental Hotel, Intercon, I think it was called. So it was filled with all Indian families who came to see Prabhupada. And he gave his class, and I don't remember at all what the class was about, but he asked at the end of class, what did Prabhupada ask? Yeah, he asked the audience, do you have any questions? 500 people. And one man raised his hand, yes, so he came up to the microphone, and he started just speaking some kind of philosophy that didn't make any sense. So probably some kind of Mayavad philosophy. And he kept speaking and speaking and speaking. He wanted the microphone. This is always very dangerous to give someone the microphone because you don't know what he's going to do. So he kept on speaking and speaking, and after about, I don't know how long really, but it seemed like 3-4 minutes, Prabhupada said, he was sitting on his Vyasa-san, are you finished yet? And the man said, no, and kept on speaking for another 3 or 4 or 5 minutes in front of everyone. And after another 3 or 4 minutes, Prabhupada said, are you finished yet? And he said, no, and kept on speaking. And the whole room started getting nervous. It was coming to everyone, this is quite embarrassing. Just talking nobody is not really what he was saying. And one of the devotees was a very aggressive type of a person. He wanted to go and stop him. But one of the other devotees, who was very, very intelligent, said, no, let us see how Prabhupada handles this situation. So after the second time, and in continuing, Then Prabhupada for the third time said, "Are you finished yet?" And the man said, "Yes, now I'm finished." And then Prabhupada just said, then sit down. And the whole room, if he would have stopped him in the beginning, the whole room would have been on his side. Why is this man stopping him from speaking? He said, "Now then sit down." And everyone applauded. I can tell you some other stories. They're amazing. So much boldness. And knowing exactly how to apply it and exactly what to do. As Krishna's servant, as Krishna's representative, sitting on the Vyasasana, such authority. That is humility. We can't imitate, but that is humility. That type of surrender. What do you think about that? Huh? Very brave. When Arjuna was fighting Karna, Karna was even more powerful than Arjuna. When the wheel was stuck of Karna, have you seen this in Kurukshetra itself? Have you been to Kurukshetra? Yeah. Arjuna said, "I can't, how can I shoot him? This is against the principles of Kshatriya warfare." And Krishna said, "Kill him." But how could I do it? And he said, Krishna had to get him angry. And he said, "Did Karna and the others observe Kshatriya conduct when they killed your son, Abhimanyu? Kill him now." And Arjuna did it. That's humility. When Yudhisthira had to lie, Aswatthama is dead. He didn't want to lie. And because he didn't want to lie, even though Krishna told him to lie, he had to see hell for a short time because of that reason. And some commentators on the Mahabharata say because he did lie, Prabhupada personally told me, because he didn't lie, he had to see hell for a short time. This is boldness to do what Krishna wants in the service of Krishna. This is Trinada Krishna, Krishna and yours. This is the soul's sharanagati, the giving of the soul, itself to Krishna. I am yours, I am yours, I am yours, I am your servant. And in that mood of Krishna, and that type of humility, then I surrender and can chant Krishna's names. Kirtaniya Sadahari. Vroom, vroom, I am motorcycle. Vroom, vroom. See my, what are the CCs? What are they called? What CC? I have 900. Vroom, vroom. Prabhupada used to, when cars would go by like that, he would make fun of them. I am. So many things to be said. A manina, a spotless heart, free from mundane false prestige. He gives all respects to others, completely detached from material designations. And he can see souls who, on one level, don't deserve respect, but he sees them as souls that are conditioned, covered by Maya. So he respects them for the fact they are souls, even though they're not acting as souls. Hare Krishna. Now, You all sat so patiently in the heat and it's 12 o'clock. And how many of you have pens and something to write with you? How many of you don't? So I can just get an idea, so that's, okay. Okay, everyone close your eyes. Close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. It's so interesting to say this, and so many people don't close their eyes when I say that. Close your eyes. Now, think of what we spoke about and what you heard, and see what comes to your mind, what's stuck in your mind, and see if you can form that into an image, a picture. What's stuck in your mind? Because so poetry, like Mahaprabhu was speaking in this verse, so much has to do with images, with pictures. And pictures stick in our mind very strongly, they stay in our mind. So of all the things that came up in this, as I was speaking, think of an image that shows what seemed important to you, one or two images of all the things that we spoke about. Stick in your mind and put it in the form of an image. Okay. And who is going to lead the kirtan? Who did we ask to lead the kirtan? Okay. I'd like to, if you could lead a soft kirtan, and everyone please chant. And it'll be a 10-minute kirtan. Please chant in the mood. Try your best to chant in the mood of what's stuck in your mind. I think we've, Mataji, I think we've just shifted the plans. But at the end, we want you to sing. Now, chant with either your eyes open or your eyes closed, never mind. But chant in the mood of something from this verse that's stuck in your mind. And let the kirtan be soft and meditative.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare